So we're starting a new series. Before we do, even as I ask, hey church, how are you doing? And we say good, this week especially, I imagine a number of us would say not good. And so I feel like the events of this past week and the okay, let's start over. Hey, church. You know what happened Wednesday feels like a different kind of event, and it's one of those things. And I want you to hear this before you just tune out or like. Your mind, you're like, oh, not again. I recognize talking about what happened and the murder of Charlie Kirk, even at church, many can be like, why are we talking about this? Come on. And this is, and I'm gonna say a few things. First is, there are certainly many different ways to respond to that event. And the one that is probably most prevalent is to respond politically. To respond either with red or blue. And depending on where you land and how you vote and what side of the aisle you are on will change how you view the events of Wednesday. And if you turn on the news, that's what you see, that's what you hear, and it's nonstop. And can I say this? I've been thinking about this a lot. That's the laziest way to respond. That's the baseline. You haven't really thought about this. If this is just red versus blue. You know, this feels different. This feels different because, again, whether you agree or disagree with Charlie Kirk politically, you don't have to agree to say this is not right. You know, when guys become presidents, you just assume or expect there will be attempts on their lives because it comes with the territory. We have a history of presidents who have been assassinated or attempted to be assassinated. You have a Secret Service detail because everyone knows you were a prime target. Now, this is different because Charlie Kirk was not a politician. He didn't hold office that people voted him into. Here's what he did. Ready? He did what I do. I speak on behalf of what I believe, what I hold to be true. And people decide if they like it or agree or disagree. And so to kill someone because you don't like their opinions or perspectives is a different level than politics or world leaders. This is one of those moments where I imagine it affects a lot of us. It affected me. I didn't expect this. I'm not like a Charlie Kirk follower or, you know, like I'm seeing a lot of his videos, probably like most of us, social media, and you're like, oh, it's interesting. Oh, okay. But also at the same time, Wednesday was it was like, whoa, this feels different. And so you can respond lazily, red versus blue. We're tired of that. We're tired of that. Or you see this for something else, and this is not. What happened Wednesday was not a sin. It's not just a sin. What happened Wednesday, you don't say, hey, we're all sinners. All right. What happened Wednesday, politics aside, was evil. It's more than sin. It's worse than sin. And again, politically, left, right, all right. Charlie Kirk was a believer first. His killing, regardless of motivation, is one, they call it assassination. I don't know if that's entirely accurate, though it's true. He was a martyr. And listen, the Church of Jesus has a long history of martyrs who have died for their faith that people didn't like or agree with, and they stood on their convictions. This is, as much as it wants to be political, this feels certainly a spiritual component. He was outspoken about his faith. And it's times like these where if the response is, if the response in any one of us, and if this is you, I'm graciously, lovingly calling you out, but also you need to hear this. I hope this isn't you. I don't think it's certainly not going to be most of us, but some of us maybe. If your response to Wednesday is, well, if you say hateful things, people will do bad things to you. If that's the response, then you have to be careful you don't land in this category. Like you see online, people are like, good, and yeah, deserve, and hey, what, oh, sorry, oh well. And like, who's next, that kind of stuff. Whoa. The Bible calls those people who call good evil and evil good. That is a dangerous position for your soul. Politics aside, you can be politically against someone and say, this is wrong. This is wrong. This is not how you do it. This is not how we have discussions. Also, here's what I was faced to even confront this last week. When we respond to, in conversations that you have with people about this, left, right, red, blue, red, the conversation gets political, and of course, there's two things I'm thinking about. The first is, it's moments like this when we read Jesus' words and they are really hard. When Jesus says, you've heard it said, an eye for an eye. But I say, the justice in us is, life for a life, okay? All right. And Jesus says, but I say, love your enemy and pray for those who persecute you. Do you want to know a secret? You want to know a pastor's secret? Let you in on a secret. It's really easy to preach things that don't particularly apply to you. It's really easy. It's really easy to preach that when you don't have an enemy, when you aren't being persecuted, like outwardly, right? Like you don't feel it. It's really easy to say, hey, you got to love your enemies. It's really easy to say, you all have to love your enemies. You all have to pray for those who persecute you. And then when there's an actual, where you feel as like an enemy or a persecution towards you, or, now probably like you look on the world stage collectively, this feels different. It's like, oh, Jesus, were you serious about this? Whew. And then I'm reminded of, again, you look at this and you can respond politically, or you can say, man, This has sparked, who knows how long, some kind of worldwide movement. This is more than just left versus right. Like, this is different. This feels different. And this is what is challenging me, and I'm even nervous to say this because of just the gravity of it. When Jesus says things like, if you want to follow me, you got to take up your cross and follow me. You die to yourself. He says, when he says this, you want to save your life? Here's how you save it. Ready? You lose it. Whoa. And for those who lose their life, ooh, they find it. Like, that's when Jesus says things like that, and it's really easy to chalk it up as hyperbole, it's poetic, Jesus is making a point. And then there's people who actually die for their faith, and you're going, did Jesus really mean that? And the longer you are in faith, the more this becomes for you, not just a decision, but this is identity, this is way of life. You're forced to confront this question. Are you willing to die for your faith? Yeah, I die to myself daily. No. If God called you to be a martyr, would you say, so be it, Lord? And I'm sure a number of us would say, no, we don't want it. We're not asking for it. We're not praying for it. But Lord, this is that important to me. This is the core of who I am. And if it takes my life, okay. That's a deeper level of faith. And what can a culture, what kind of world do to a person like that who says, I'm willing to die for what I believe? You can take my life. What can anyone do to that person to persuade them to leave Jesus? And also, a number of us would say, I'm not there. I'm not die for my faith. I'm still trying to figure this out, or I'm still trying to grow and learn in my faith. I'm not ready. I'm not ready to go. I've got responsibilities. Let me say two things. First, that is an acceptable position. That's fine. Without feeling guilt or like somehow, I guess I'm not. No. That is a fine position to be in. It's okay. It's fine. Number two, that means you've got some growth in your faith ahead of you. It means you haven't arrived, and all of us do. We have levels of growth in front of us that God is working in our lives. And to get us to the point where we say, it really isn't about me anymore. It really isn't. And that is the hardest thing for you to let die. The hardest thing for you to kill is your ego. That's it. The me, I'm important. That once that dies and you recognize when Paul says to live as Christ and to die as gain, he's looking at it going, it's not about me anymore. It's about Paul. When you look at Paul, I want you to see Jesus. And when Paul dies, don't be upset because I am with Jesus. When you get to that point, you are living faith at a different level. Whatever you think of Charlie Kirk, this is true. He was a brother in Christ who died because he shared what he believed. And what millions of people latched onto, not because they were easy to persuade, but because we have a guy who's putting words to how we feel. This is the collective, like what, and you might not like it or agree, but wow, all right. So even as we jump in this morning, a new series, exciting, we recognize that even this morning what we're talking about is this very thing, like this moment, We're looking at 2 John and then eventually 3 John. We'll spend 2 weeks in 2 John. And this morning, what we'll be talking about is not just for ourselves and our soul, but quite literally, it will change, I hope, it will change even how we interact with people given this time, given what's going on in the world right now. Regardless of the color flag you fly or vote. And it's lazy. It is lazy to say this is a blue versus red. And instead we say, no. My identity is not blue. My identity is not red. My identity is the cross. My identity is Jesus. So how does Jesus engage in this? If he were here, how would he engage in this cultural moment right now? Not what do I feel I should say, and I get my keyboard and I hit send and post and I just let the comments fly. All right, hold on. Before you do all that, how do I engage in this, how Jesus would want me to? So we're jumping into this new series. And what John, man, it's like this today is for this moment, certainly. What John is going to be talking about is two sides of one coin. It's two things that we have to have both in our lives. If we're going to follow the way of Jesus, we have to have both of these things. And what happens is usually a lot of times when there's an argument, a fight, a disagreement, a conflict, whether it be certainly in marriages, but also at workplace or with friends or coworkers, neighbors, a lot of times what we see is this, that the issue is not the issue. The fight isn't even over the thing. The fight becomes a fight over perspective. That my perspective is right, clearly, right, guys, right? My perspective is right, and yours is wrong, and the fight is I'm trying to convert you to my perspective, and vice versa. And the fight becomes not the issue, it becomes I need you to see I'm right, and you are trying to get me to see that you are right. And this is true of everyone, because I don't know if you know this, I think you do. You don't believe anything that you think is wrong. If you believe it, it's because you think it's right. And if someone disagrees with you, you're saying they're wrong, and you're trying to convert them to your side. What if, this is crazy, what if you're both right? And you're looking at the same issue from two different perspectives. And you're saying you're wrong, and you're saying you're wrong. And really what you should be saying is, I don't think you see it from how I see it. And they say, you might be right, and I don't think you see it how I see it. That's what we're looking at this morning. How do we, John's gonna bring up two things, ready? He's gonna bring up truth and love. And all of us, this is what I found to be true, all of us tend to lean one way or the other. So if you are a truth leaner, here's what that means. In your life, you value accuracy and conviction, and not compromising. You value right versus wrong, and maybe not everything's black and white, but in your mind, it's pretty close. And for you, it's all about truth, and this is right, not I'm right, this is right, and that's wrong, and that's how you see the world. And if you are a truth leaner, you probably know that. And if you don't know, that's fine. I'll tell you how you find out. And then others of us would lean towards love. If you're a love leaner, you lean towards kindness, towards inclusion, towards not wanting to hurt feelings, not wanting to ruffle feathers, not wanting to rock the boat. You use the analogy you want. And it's all about how do I have harmony and make sure everyone is happy. And you know, if you go too far, you become a people pleaser and it's not. And so, but you lean towards, hey, instead of fighting, how can we come together? How can we unify here? And that's the conversation. And then the truth leaner is like, I can't unify with someone who believes the wrong thing. It's just wrong. This is right, this is wrong. And you have this battle over the issue, and it's just really perspective. Now, if you don't know which one you lean, you're gonna find out here in 5 seconds. Ready? Just ask the person you came with which one they think you are. If you're married, you don't have to ask them. You know what they're gonna tell you. You already know, right? And if you do ask them, just be prepared. They're probably really excited to tell you. I'm so glad you asked, honey. I've been waiting for years to tell you this. You know if you lean truth or you lean love. I have a natural bent. I lean truth. I lean towards right and wrong. That's my thing. And here's what happens, and here's what I find to be true with me, but also with other, I almost said truthers. That's like, not truth leaners. Truth without love, here's what can happen. It makes us self-righteous. You can become self-righteous. This is for me. Here's my heart. Here, the way that I walk and I think, that is a fine line of becoming self-righteous, like I'm right. Oof. Take love out of truth and it's just self-righteous. And the pendulum can swing that love without truth can make you spineless. Just want to love. I don't want to ever say anything hard or difficult or confront, or I don't want to ruffle any feathers ever, and so you don't have a backbone now. And we just preach tolerance, which just means tolerate everything. Don't ever stand up for something. Don't take a position, just tolerate everything. As you can imagine, both get you in trouble. If you are a truth leaner, you can become a Pharisee. If you are a love leaner, you can have no convictions of what you believe. So how do we then balance both? If you're a follower of Jesus, you can't split the two apart. It's not like I'm preaching truth, I don't care how it lands, or it's like we just gotta love and not ever say anything judgmental or say anything to convict. We don't want to ever do that. How do you balance both? Because following Jesus requires both. We could say this, real love then, so that was the negative, to speak it in the positive. Real love, true love is willing to wound. I don't want to do that. I know. True love is willing to say the thing and the hard thing in love, but also there really is a right and a wrong here. And I have to bring this up, and it's gonna hurt, and I know, but I love you too much not to say it. Real love is willing to wound, and real truth, so us like truth leaners, you're like, yeah, say it. Real truth has to be willing to weep. As you're saying the truth, with tears, it's because I love you. I love who you are, and I say this out of love. It's not out of judgment or how could you, it's out of love. Willing to cry as you say it. I am not a crier really much, but the times that it gets me, it's like, whoa, this is different. So as we look into 2 John, these are the shortest letters of the New Testament. I mean, 2 John is is 13 verses. We're looking at the first 6 here. So it's really short and sweet. Here's what we're going to see. John tells us, truth defines who we are. Truth defines who you are, not how you feel. And here's how you know, ready? Because your feelings change, especially if you're like a high feeler, high emotion, like you are very in tune with how you feel. I envy that, like good for you, that's great. You also, like if you were to do homework, like if that's you, you're like, I'm a feeler, you could do this. This could be your homework. Can you just write down the amount of times your feelings change in one day? And just see how that goes. Now over a course of 2 days and a week and a month, and you're like, man, I feel this and I feel this. Okay, all right, so you can't rest your identity on how you feel that morning or how you feel that evening. It'll change. So who you are can't be just, today I feel like X, Y, Z. All right, hold on. You gotta be more grounded than that. Here's what we're gonna see. Truth defines who you are. So here's what John writes in verse 1. The elder, now he's speaking about himself, John, and at this point, by the way, John is the only remaining apostle or disciple of the 12. He's the last one. Everyone else at this point has died. John is in his old age. So, and he was often referred to as the elder. It's like, hey, he's the last one we got. So Peter's gone, James is gone. I mean, you name it, they're gone. The elder, John. To the lady chosen by God and to her children, whom I love in the truth. Right out the gate, he's got love and truth. Here it is. He loves, but he makes sure to qualify it in the truth, the truth. Who's the lady and who are her children? You read this if you take this literally and say like, well, this is what he means, you're thinking, oh, he's writing this to a mom who has kids. But as you read and, as you study more, you realize, oh, no, he's speaking in kind of in code here, and he's talking about the lady as the church, often referred to as the bride of Christ. We're not actually brides, like none of you, I'm looking around, I don't think none of you are in a wedding gown, not today at least. We're called the bride of Christ, even though we're not actually physically a bride. So he says, to the lady chosen by God, the church, and to all her children, all who are a part of it, all who are in the church, who I love, all of you, I love in the truth. In the truth, I love you. And not I only, but also all who know the truth. There it is again, the truth. All who speak to and believe and live in this truth, whatever the truth is, the truth, they also love you. Because, and here's why I love you, verse 2, because of the truth. Truth shows up here 3 times, back to back to back. Because of the truth, which lives in us and will be with us forever. Here's how he starts. I love you in the truth, as well as all those who have the truth, and I love you because of the truth. The truth is what grounds everything for him. And then he gives his greeting. Grace, mercy, and peace from God the Father and from Jesus Christ, the Father's Son, will be with us in truth and love. We're 3 verses in, and you're like, I wonder what this letter's about. He is absolutely clear. It's about truth and love, and loving in the truth, and speaking the truth in love. We're gonna see this over and over again, and he's writing specifically about this truth, the truth. Aletheia or aletheia, which literally is like that which can't be hidden. Like this isn't like, he's not saying like, this is my truth. I wanna hear your truth. We'll talk about their truth. There's none of that. This isn't like, what's your preference? What do you like? It's no. Let's talk about the truth. I love you in the truth because of the truth. John is also responsible for writing the Gospel of John. He wrote the Gospel of John. He wrote 1 John, which is about various people threatening the church and heresies. And then he writes 2 John, 3 John, and then eventually he writes Revelation. So this guy was busy. And so he writes the Gospel of John, which many will say like might be their favorite. The Gospel of John's my favorite. I mean, they're all good. You should read them all. But John writes one of my favorite verses in all of Scripture, certainly in the Gospels. John writes, comes from John. John chapter 14, verse 6. He says this, Jesus said, I am the way and your preference, your opinion, I'm whatever the truth you want it to be. Of course not. He says, I am the way, I am the truth and the life. And then he says this, and this is crazy, and no one gets to the Father except through me. Jesus, when you say that, do you realize 2,000 years later in 2025, people are going to be offended? People aren't going to like that. That's so narrow-minded. The only way. So either Jesus got it wrong, and he's lying to us, or he's delusional, or he really did mean that. And if you land at the point where you're like, I believe the Bible, certainly the scriptures, I believe Jesus and what he says, then you are forced to acknowledge that he says the only way to God is through him. That's it. Which means, this is the hard truth that you have to hear, and if I'm the first one to say it to you, so be it. I hope I'm not. I hope you've heard this before, that there is one criteria by which you will be judged. It's coming. If the Bible is true, if what the words we read, this is who God is, this is what he said, then it's all people are appointed first to die and then second to be judged. And we'll stand before God, and we're judged by one criteria. And the criteria is not, tell me how good you were. Give me the list of all the good things you did. Tell me your truth. The criteria is this: what did you do with Jesus? The way, the truth, the life. He's the only way. He's the only way to salvation. Tell me. What do you think about him? What have you done with him? And your response to that question, listen to this, decides everything for you. Oof. So when John talks about the truth, it's not like my truth. Well, it's true for me, but not for you. He's saying specifically, let's talk about the truth. Imagine this. Imagine you have a compass. Maybe you're lost in the woods and on a hike or something. By the way, I don't know if you know this. You are never lost. Like, I've never once in my life been lost. Never once. I know exactly where I am. I just don't know where everything else is. But I know I am standing right here. I don't know which way to go. Okay, so if you've ever not been lost, but just didn't know where everything else is, and you pull out and you're like, I need to travel north. I know I need to go north. Eventually I'll hit a road. I know kind of the terrain. Okay, I need to figure out north. And you pull out a trusty compass. You are hoping, anticipating, assuming that this compass is right and it's gonna go north. And then when it leads you north, you line up the compass. Like, dude, I don't know if kids know how to use compasses these days. You line it up, you're like, you pull out the compass, you're like, it just spins. Like, I don't know, just circle. And you line up where the arrow goes north, and you line it up, and you're like, all right, that's north, right? It's going north. Okay, your compass works. You believe it. You don't know if it's right or not. I don't know which way. I'm trusting this compass, right? This way is north, by the way, right? Of course it is. I know that. 95% sure this is north. Now, if your compass is broken, it's lost its magnetism, maybe there's a screw on it that it doesn't allow it to spin and it gets stuck. The compass is broken, and it, instead of pointing you north, points this way, and you don't know it's broken. You think your compass is right. You think your north is right, and you line up and you're like, oh, I don't know where my surroundings are. North is this way, and you start going that way. You will never get to where you want to go. You will never get to your destination. Okay, spiritually, listen. If you are living your life towards your North Star, your truth, my truth is this way, I'm going this way, and you live your life this way, here's what we're told, that you will not get to the destination. You're actually going the wrong way your entire life until you realize my compass is broken. I've been using the wrong compass. I need the right compass that actually points me north. And according to the scriptures, according to God himself, according to Jesus, he says, I'm the compass. Let me tell you which way to go. It's me. Truth is the thing that defines who we are, not how we feel, not what we want in that moment, not our truth. It's the truth. Augustine said, all truth is God's truth. And when we compromise truth, we compromise God himself. That like, there's quite literally, when we think about truth, not just the truth of scripture, but just the truth in biology, the truth in nature, the truth that we see, like the truth in even psychology, how we just understand how the mind works and what we talk, when we talk about the soul, like, all right, if it's true, we know it's true, this is God, because God set it up this way, it's true. So this is how we understand who we are, the truth. The truth defines who we are. And then we see this. The truth on its own can become harsh and cold and heartless, and if we're not careful, we become the Pharisees. So there's another element here. Love, we see, is the way we live truth. Love is the second part of this that is essential. It's an element that if you don't have, that the truth can actually make you become hateful. Ooh. Here's what he says in verse 4. It has given me great joy to find that some of your children, the people in the church, walking in the truth. They understand the truth. They're living it out, like not a single act, but an ongoing way of life. Not they've walked in the truth, walking. They are presently walking in the truth, just as the Father commanded us. And now, dear lady, church, I am not writing you a new command. I'm going to tell you something, it's not new, but one we have heard from the beginning. Here it is. Ready? I ask that we love one another. I ask that we love one another. This isn't a new command. This is the very command of Jesus. Here's how they'll know you're my disciples, how you love each other. Also in the Gospel of John, they wrote earlier, and he's like, this isn't new. I've already talked about, Jesus said this. You know this to be the case. I'm not giving you a new command. Here's what you need to know. Ready? Love one another. Love each other. You have the truth. Great. Now, love each other. Agape each other. The Greek word used here is not, there's a number of Greek words that are used throughout the scriptures in the New Testament, certainly in Greek, that refer to love. And there's like the friendly love, there's a romantic love. Hey, that was me being romantic. That's my attractive nod. This is none of those. This is agape. This is the selfless love. This is the self-giving, the sacrificial kind of love. Not the I'll tolerate whatever happens love. This is the no. This is the I will give things up. That you love one another isn't like when it's convenient, I'll love you. This is the I love you regardless of what you do or how you respond. This is just, I have a love. This is why you can meet complete strangers and say, I love people. I love them. I want what's best for them. I care for them. I don't even know them, but I can have the kind of love God has for me. I can have at least in portion, I can have some of that for people. Think of it like this. Do you guys remember growing up? Anyone? I remember growing up, and our kids today they have it easy. They didn't grow up like with the joys that we had. I think every summer, probably of my entire childhood, every summer, the only way I ever got water was out of a garden hose. Do you remember that? Remember that? By the way, still the best tasting water ever. The copper metallic, like that's real water, right? And you're like, awesome. Okay, truth is water, the truth of Jesus. Jesus says, I'm the living water. Anyone who drinks from me won't ever thirst again. Like, all right, so he's a living, like they will spout living water, like wells, and like the water will come out. Okay, so Jesus talks about like there is a water here, right? And then if we think of love, love is the hose by which we deliver water to people. So think about this, okay? A garden hose is perfect. You turn it on, you get just the right amount of water, and the hose delivers just the right speed. And then if you were a jerk like me, when a friend or your brother is drinking, and you're like, keep drinking, you already know. So some of you evil people, you already know what you do, and you turn the water up real quick, and it's like, right? And they're like, oh, and they choke, and you're going, oh, all right. And you're kind of snicker, you're like, oh, it slipped. Listen, you can give people too much truth, and they can't drink it. You don't drink from a fire hose. A hose delivers water. You don't drink from that. You can't. You'll lose all your teeth. You can give someone, you truth leaners, you can give someone so much truth that they say, I can't take this. It's too much, it's too harsh, this doesn't taste good. I can't even get any of the water in. For you love leaners, you can be just a hose and never offer water. And you're like, I got a hose, you're gonna turn it on. I don't want to overwhelm you. So how about just a small drip? You're like, I'll go, this isn't helpful at all. If truth is water, love is the hose by which we say, let me deliver the right amount of truth so that you can actually drink it. You can actually take it in. This is why it's so hard, because we lean one way or the other. We're like, give them more water. Or, hey, less water. I don't want to make them feel bad. I just want to love. Just love. Francis Schaeffer said this: love is the final apologetic. The final defense of your faith, when you share your faith, is how you love people. It's not what you said, it's certainly how you say it. Love is the way that we live truth. Now, John ties them both back together, and here's what we see. Truth and love must walk together. Truth and love. This is not an either or, though we tend to lean either or. This is together. We experience, and when we're speaking about truth, we do it lovingly. And when we want to love people, we have to include some hard truths and have a spine. Both are necessary for us. Verse 6, it says this, and this is love. He's going to tell us. What is love, John? This is it. That we walk in obedience to his commands. Here's what he's saying. You obey the truth. This is love. You do what Jesus tells us to do. You listen to his words and say, I'm doing that. Notice, this isn't a feeling. This isn't a today I feel like loving you, or I feel like I am. This is a regardless of how I feel, I'm going to walk in obedience to his commands. And then he continues. As you've heard from the beginning, here's his command. Ready? That you walk in love. He gives this like cycle that here's what it means to love. Ready? To obey his commands, obey the truth. And let me tell you about his command. Ready? You want to know what he says? Love. So which is it? Chicken or the egg, right? Truth or love? And he's like, no. It's endless. It's endless. You want to love? You focus on, you do what he says, you obey the truth. And what is the truth? That you love. It's this constant cycle of lovingly speaking and living out truth. And while you're sharing truth, you're doing so recognizing that I have to do this out of love, not out of winning. The hardest thing, Jesus said this, John 14:15. If you love me, keep my commands. This is the hardest part for us, because for this to happen, this is so hard. Something in you has to die. In fact, it's the hardest thing to kill. people will spend their entire lives, years, in counseling and therapy to deal with this one thing, to kill this one thing, to fight the death of this one thing. The thing that you have to kill, that has to die for you to be able to do this, is your ego. Your desire for your wants and your life, and it's about me and what I want and myself, but I think, that has to die. If that doesn't die, it will affect your life. And so if you're going to love other people in truth, it's no longer about you. When Paul says to live is Christ, to die is gain, he means it. When I live, when Paul says, when people see me, I want them to see the life of Jesus. And then when I die, I can't wait to be with Jesus. It's no longer about what Paul wants. Think of it like this, as two wings of an airplane. And I use this, I brought this illustration up. I didn't even realize how it sounded until I said it. I'll share it exactly how I shared it last service, and please just hold your laughter. Two wings of an airplane. You have a wing on the left and a wing on the right. And here's what I said. Well, I'm more of a left wing kind of person, and I'm more of a right winger. I'm like, oh, no, this isn't political. As I'm saying it, I realize. But can you imagine being on an actual airplane and going like, I prefer the left wing. Like, I want to make sure the left wing is really strong, because that's the side I'm on. That's the one that matters. I look at my window, that's the left wing. The right wing, it's fine, whatever. And vice versa. Like, I prefer a right wing. Like, no. You know what it takes for this to work? Both working the same, equally. The amount of pressure, both have to be present for you to get where you're going. If we're gonna talk about truth and love, and we lean one way or the other, both represent the Christian life. Remove one and you crash. Take love out, you crash. Take truth out, you crash. John Stott, a theologian and commentator, he says this: our love grows soft if it is not strengthened by truth, and our truth grows hard if it is not softened by love. So how do I become a truth and love person? How do I grow in this, okay? Let me tell you how you do it. First, identify your lean. Identify which one. Do you tend to be more of a truth person or a love person? Again, ask someone. They don't even have to know you very well, and they'll know, and they'll tell you. Am I more of a love kind of person? And they'll probably go, what's option B? Oh, okay. Am I more of a truth person? Or they'll tell you. And then you do this. You focus on the missing wing. You focus on the missing side. You focus on, if you're a truth person, no one has to tell you. No one has to tell you, hey, you should really think about more what's right and wrong and conviction. You're like, yeah, I've been saying that for years. Everyone should be doing that. And you're like, no. You don't need more encouragement in that. I don't need more encouragement in like, let's focus on what's right. You say no more. I got it. Say less. Instead, you focus on the thing that's missing. So truth leaners, you say this: how can I say this in a way that they can receive it from their perspective? How can I put myself in their shoes and hear what I'm about to say so that it actually lands in a loving way? That's different than I'm just gonna say it and you need to hear it. You need to hear it or else. I don't know, how can I share this in a way that they say, okay. And then love leaners. If this is you lean towards love. If I really love them, can I let them believe this without speaking up? If I really love someone, how long do I remain silent and let them go this route or do this thing or make this decision or potentially ruin their life, and I just sit back and say, I don't want to judge, I don't want to say anything, I don't want to. So you focus on the missing wing and say, that's what I need to lean into. And then this week, you live it out. In a key relationship, you practice something. You do this, both truth and love. Real love is willing to wound. Not because you want to or you like it, but because you're saying, sometimes this, I love you, and I have to say something that is gonna hurt. And the old me would have never wanted to bring this up because I just don't wanna cause problems. But I have to say this. Real love is willing to wound, and real truth is willing to weep, in which you say, I don't do this out of joy, or I want to just prove you wrong or convert you to my side. I say this with tears and with love because I have such a strong conviction in this, and I feel like it would be unloving to not share. Okay. At the cross, here's what we see. We see both. The gospel is both. We see truth that demanded justice, and so Jesus goes to the cross. And we see the motivation by which this happens is, you guessed it, for God so loved the world. Out of God's love, he justifies and he completes justice, the truth. In the gospel, we have truth wrapped in God's love. If you struggle with this, here's what you got to do. Ready? You preach the gospel to yourself again and again and again. This is not about you. Your life, when you get to this point of like real spiritual maturity, you realize your life is not about you. It's not about your preferences. It's not about how you see the world. It's not about converting people to your perspective. Instead, you say, how can I really love those around me? How can I say, like Paul, to live is Christ and to die is gain? My life is now about Jesus, not me. And it will be that way until I meet him. Would you do this? Would you stand with me? And I'm going to pray for us. And then we'll worship here together. Would you bow with me? So, Lord, will you help us to be people, certainly this week, but not just this week, for the rest of our lives? Will you help us to be people? Will you remind us? Will you work in us in such a way that we love people and have conviction and do so with a backbone, knowing that the remaining silent can often be the unloving thing. And also, will you help us to understand, and even in the moment where we want to say the thing and we want to speak truth, and I just need to say it, will you remind us that we're saying this to a person that you died for and that you love, and help us to put ourselves in their shoes to see how are they going to receive this, because if it's not in love, then we're doing it wrong. Help us to be people who have both wings of this plane, truth and love, that we can offer water to the world, not from a fire hose, but also not from a hose turned off. And we can offer them the water that we have to come and to drink and to be filled. We worship you now, Lord, and we pray this in Jesus' name.